as we're looking, what is my, of course, we do research. We, sometimes you just, I don't remember, was it Mastroianni who said it? Sometimes you suddenly just boom, and you capture the character somehow in, and sometimes you research, you do a lot of work, and somehow you miss it.
Mhm.
A little story, how the research and intuition work. Years ago in our, in our class, I was working with, I had one actor, very, 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 very gifted and very beautiful man. Very beautiful man. And also man who was quite convinced of his beauty. He knew that he was beautiful and he liked being beautiful. So I suggested that he will work on a monologue of Richard III, the ugly cripple. Richard III. So he does this monologue, but with all his inner, his essence, I'm beautiful. And I look at him and I look at the person, and when I work with an actor, I have no thoughts and no idea. It's like I never worked with actor before. I have no idea of acting technique, nothing. I'm empty, just simply looking at actors. There's always a sense of panic because when I start working, I never know if I could help or what I will say. That's my process. I look at the actor, I start rehearsal as director, and I work all night, don't sleep, and think about it. And then I come to rehearsal, I'm empty. I don't know. There is a panic. Yes, sure. Will I make myself an idiot? Or what do I do? But I accept that panic. I stay with it and stay. So I'm present to that actor, and I see him so beautiful. And suddenly, so I work all, me, I always work in a present moment. I don't engage my mind, but mind is actually working beautifully when we don't push it. So I tell him, listen, whatever was his name, we don't need, doesn't matter. I said, can you go through this monologue, but in a voice of 5 years old? He looked at me, and I don't think he had very good, he said, Polina is, a strange teacher, but probably because of my reputation, he stuck with me. So he looked at me suspiciously. I said, yes, 5 years old voice. There was no emotional memory, there's nothing. He started to do the monologue, and everybody in the room, and it comes out something neither him or nobody knew. That strange, beautiful young man talking in a voice of 5 years old. And as he talked, because he is a good actor, as he talked, he became himself changing, and it was magnificent. Now, after class, I always ask myself, why did I give this direction? Very simple. Richard III, historically, because I obviously been all my life researching everything I work on. Now, he was, probably 5, more or less that age, when his father head was cut, and the opposing tribe showed to him, it was like American Indians, they showed to him the skull, the head of his father, to make sure that this kid will not fight for the crown, to scare him. 5 years old, looking at can you imagine that? So somewhere in Richard, in that child, it's frozen. That moment stays frozen. We have it in, in Arthur Miller, right? When, Abigail talks about her parents being also killed by, how the child, and stuff. So that image. So what I'm talking about, the research, when I did this research years before it, because obviously, I was working, it made a huge impression on me. I imagine that child is this. I also knew that this actor, he has a child of that age. He had 2 daughters, and one was this age. So the voice was very clear in his head. He spoke in a voice of his 5-year-old daughter. So the voice of a man. So you see the knowledge, but that knowledge becomes inside of you. And in a moment it's born. And then a few years later, I was reading some memoirs, of Laurence Olivier. And he said that when he was working on Richard III, for strange reason, he said, I remember suddenly a strange, very strange, almost also like childlike voice, a very dry, strange voice of a famous professor in Oxford. He heard his lesson and he was struck by his voice that was not fitting the professor, was a voice. And Olivier used that voice. And I thought, incredible, the logic, the artistic intuition of a Russian teacher working with American actor and a brilliant British actor. See, realize the discrepancy, something is frozen, the voice didn't fit the body. And from that, discrepancy, that conflict and the Richard, comes the desire for the crown and that frozen child. It's amazing. You see, I get very emotional. So the point is that of course we search, but it's not analytical. It's an image that becomes in your body. It affects you sensually. It affects you somatically. And then it comes back.
That's what you had asked us to do, remember, with the animal class. You wanted us to draw it, understand the anatomy, understand, how they feed themselves, how they reproduce themselves, how they sleep, so it was really very factual and but very specific, so that we could actually, that was the same, and the thing with the animal, there's no psychology, there's no, so you can't project all the human usual, stuff,
I was just going to say how Richard Burton said, I read somewhere that I love to read, memoirs, not about their love affairs and marriages, but about their process, is that he needed to find an animal for the characters he worked. Why we were working that whole our course on animals, because animals, it's a complete bodily experience. It's you using somatic, and it's always specific, because the experience of the way bear moves, or the way eagle flies, Louis was working, or you were working cobra, it's specific. So what we're talking about specific, but it's not mental. Right. It's not mental because you read and understand. I do think that actors need to study anatomy. They're always in that fantasy image of emotions, that it's not specific. By the way, Laurence Olivier said the same. He said actors need to study. He even, stories, we learn from stories. He had a friend who was a surgeon, and he convinced and asked permission to be present in one of his surgery. And the doctor said, you might faint. He said, I probably won't. And Laurence Olivier stood through the whole surgery, very attentive. He never fainted. He was learning how we made. Once again, I keep repeating, there is a difference, crying, being, whatever these emotions. It's also can be mental nerve manipulation. It's all in mental image. But the reality, what's in me crying? Is it my heart crying? My stomach is crying? What in me is crying? Yeah. And I go back to when I say why actors, so important for us and capture us, because in life we have to function There's so such a thing we have to produce and function in life. With some exceptions, it's very difficult to keep, so to speak, staying in touch with all of that. We are a bit trapped.
We're a bit trapped.
Today more than bit, because in the past you have to walk. There was no subway, no buses. So when you have to walk a few kilometers from one place to another, you become human. You get into your body. But today we don't have chance to get into the body, right? We will run. So it's this whole thing, of dropping in, allowing things so that we embody. And body is not muscles and bones. It's not physical. It's every cell in me. It's many bodies. I always say, okay, it's a language things, we have many bodies. And just physical acting, they talk a lot about physical theater. For me, it's a silly attitude, because, well, even if I live in my head, I'm still physical because my bones and muscles work. So what is physical? Animals exist in totality.
Yeah.
They have brain, animals. We have to watch, elephants, how they communicate with each other, and they have meaning, but that brain is a part of the total ecosystem of an animal. And it's not just Richard Burton. In my acting school in Moscow, the teacher told us to go to the zoo to observe an animal and then do improvisation. So I remember I went to the zoo, so little funny stories. I went to the zoo, and it was called in Russian, secretary bird, one of those, like not something very tall, just. And I start, and I look, and I was very diligent student. I do religiously everything my teachers taught. So I look at it, and I'm standing, and it's just a bird. I observe the way it moves. Okay. Then, but I'm not tall. I don't have legs of the tall bird. My legs are short. How I imitate that bird. So I'm going. First, I tend to get desperate and cry because I don't know how to do it and cannot do it. And I feel that I will never do it. But I'm standing, and the bird eventually noticing me. People come and go, and I'm standing. I don't remember if I cried, if I felt desperate. That's my usual thing that I start with, like, my gosh, I could never do it, but I keep standing. Apparently, I forget. And then I kind of start I didn't even notice. I started talking to them, but I started to communicate. I started to become, there was something moving to the point I didn't know that I stood there for 3 hours and entered communication. And the people who worked in the zoo called ambulance and said, we have a crazy girl here. She lost her mind and she's thinking she is a bird. And they actually really, the policeman, the ambulance didn't come, the policeman. They brought the policeman brought them to say, you got the story. So you see the process, the way we can establish the flow of energy and communication, pre-verbal communication between us and the one we're trying to embody. Trying to talk to people, to watch people, observing their energy and watching the movies, as Louis said, silent. Yes, Francis, I get too excited.
No, it's okay. No, I'd like to say one thing because, acting can be daunting. I studied method acting, and everybody was having breakdowns, and what I think about what I know about the work that you're offering, Polina, is very integrative.
What is it? What?
Integrative.
Integrative?
Makes people whole.
Yeah, I'm just saying because your accent. I just want to make sure people understand.
As opposed to dissociative.
Yeah.
It's integrative. Integrative.
Integrative.
Integrative. Yeah, integrative. It's very integrative because, yes, we are delusional creatures. We're always in the past, in the future. We're never in the moment. And when you do this work, you are much more whole. It's very healthy mentally, emotionally. It's centering. Yeah, it's integrative. It's not dissociative. It's really there's I don't know, maybe I speak about myself, but, there's nothing intimidating about it. It's really purely being more present, being more alive, being more human, being more whole, So I just wanted to say this.
That's good. They do. They say everything, the present moment has everything.
Always say.
Yeah.
I just said the present moment has everything.
Yeah.
In the present. And that's where we are and what you teach us.
And another way to say integrity, maybe that's simpler to understand.
It's fascinating. You can look at the same thing, turning it around. But before we go into it, shall I apologize for my accent to our sweet audience? What is my apology? When I came to America, I had zero money. I couldn't, and in Russia, I studied Latin and German. I was pretty good at German, and loved, Latin grammar, but English, and so when I came to America, I couldn't afford any class. I had to work. I started taking care, I was babysitting to a newborn, so that didn't need English. While I applied to Yale, I applied to Yale waiting, but I had to survive. So I learned my English, what I call on the street and supermarket. There was no time to really properly learning it. And then I got stuck with my bad accent. And then I kept being busy, directing and doing things. Somehow, when a little bit I performed, something switched in me, and I was able, apparently, to speak better. But my apology. Michael Howard, great late Michael Howard, whom I always miss, asked me, Polina, why do you have such accent? And I said, they have to say himself. I said, Michael, because it's so difficult to understand me that my students have to listen to me with much more attention.
I agree.
I agree.
So
I agree.
That is my trick to make students to listen more. Michael,
and those.
My apology, Louis. Sorry. Go.
No, don't be sorry. I have loved listening to your stories. I have so many in my head, and there's so many more to listen to and to pay attention to. And then, just a reminder, you can find Polina and her classes in the description. Just click and find a class that works for you, and appreciate you listening, and we look forward to the next time. And until then, take care, and thanks for being with us.